I have mine there, or if you want to. Sorry. Thanks. So maybe I'm going to start with Steven, because Jim finished with Ageas. And Steven, what do you think, how do you think AI has really disrupted or not the insurance market or insurance company?
Ricardo, I will keep it with the health part, right? Because that's the subject of the title.
Right.
I believe that we haven't seen anything yet. So I think that like in industrial revolution, we're just at the start of the nano steps of artificial intelligence. We're just at the first millimeters of the great march. We haven't seen anything. I think it will impact the healthcare on different angles. From the patients, there is the computing power, and the cloud, as you were saying, is becoming so cheap that you can now make connections which previously were not possible. Yes, Duke University is analyzing in what way the tonality of your voice changes with the heart diseases. They discovered the algorithms that you can have a heart disease and your voice is changing. So they discovered this, so now they're going to analyze everything which is the voice related to other diseases. You have the possibility to, you have autistic children. I mean, there's a study in the United States busy with 30,000 children who have face recognition, which previously it would be impossible, right? Thanks to AI, they will look at how the nerves are moving of the autistic children and if they can find some patterns into everything. I mean, I can continue on heart diseases, on everything. I mean, they have implants with algorithms to detect early warning. So on the patient side, a lot is going on. If I go to the hospitals, also which was impossible before, due to the possibility today to collect all these data, we will know to nearly the euro how much one surgery costs in all the hospitals all over Europe. You will be able to say to hospitals, no. This is what normally surgery costs because we have all the information will be available and it will be captured somewhere, right? So there's also a big change that will go on. On the insurance side, you have artificial intelligence in the algorithms of the questions that we're asking, the chatbots that you're using. By the way, I think there's another debate that you can have on ethical questions,
privacy
right?
Also.
On privacy, and what you see is that what prevails, saving people or privacy, right? This is another very ethical...
But is it something that's on opposite sides?
Well, we have to see. I mean, I think it will going to be like the big old watch, right? I think that now there was privacy that was misused, which we see still every day. Regulators come in and go to the other side to protect really, while again, on the other side of the world, there's 1.1 billion people who have no privacy, where artificial intelligence will be top, and where China has said by 2030 will be #1 in the world on artificial intelligence, because there's no limitations to develop it. Anyway, that was two sideways, right? But so also in the insurance business, we're doing a lot on artificial intelligence that impacts not only health, but all the other sides of the business. You have society, society with all the prevention, because I think that in healthcare, far too long we have been opening people, surgery people, I mean, having all this. It will be a focus on prevention, predictions. You have more capability to become ill. You have more capabilities to have these diseases. With also DNA testing, you can predict what medicines or fit more for you or for me or for you. So you will have a change into also the curing. So there is a big change in that as well. And so on all these parts of what I'm mentioning, this artificial intelligence will have a huge impact on the healthcare system.
Okay. Maybe I'm going to ask a question to Sofia. By the way, just asking the audience, if you had the possibility to test right now if you had Parkinson's or not, which one, how many people would say, let's test? Cool.
Perfect. You are invited to come.
So in 20 minutes, she's going to do a demo, and we're going to find out the percentage of people here. That's going to be scary. But anyway, I want to ask Sofia, I think the privacy, and this is for everyone, we've been talking about the health issues, but privacy is also very, very important. How are you dealing with this in your project? And I would ask the same to Pedro.
Thank you for the question, because we started this project in 2016, and we were 11 organizations, 6 different European countries. The main, let's say, the first initial idea was to have the ethical approval before let's say, to put the app available. We have to have the ethical approval in each country to be possible to download it. So this, for instance, in UK, took us around 8 months. So the process is 4 years, and we take 8 months to have ethical approval to put the app available in Google Play. So in Portugal, because we want to extend the let's say, the users and the downloads, because we target 5,000, in our faculty we took 1 month here in Lisbon. So we have to deal with ethical approval every time that we create an app, or we have to deal with the accreditation of medical devices, like we also have Plux as a company that developed a smart belt, and we have to accreditate these devices, of course, to be medical devices. But in case of ethics, there is a big issue and a challenge, and I suggest, and I've been suggesting in the Brussels, in the artificial intelligence events, also to promote and try to stimulate European politicians to make a kind of common marketplace for European projects in particular, because this takes a lot of time. And let's say the project doesn't run, and actually the technical issues are, let's say, established. We developed the app, but then from the ethical point of view, from privacy point of view, we developed the documents, all the aspects, and then we cannot proceed. So we take a lot of time to pass the ethical approval in medical centers. So there is a huge pressure of European projects to create, let's say, startups. We take a lot of time at the end of let's say, of the project to start it, because actually we have 1,600 users so far, because we delay it. We delayed, and it's not our fault. We tried in the 7 countries that were not, let's say, initially established, but we tried to extend the community. So from the ethical point of view, European projects have this, let's say, challenge, big challenge, European challenge, and we follow all the guidelines of GDPR guidelines, and we have to have, in this app, we have all these restrictions. So there is a real impact on the, let's say, all the procedures and developments of the apps in particular. We have running now the Protein project, also an Horizon 2020 project, 2 months ago started, and we'll perhaps deal differently, because imagine the app is already developed, so we don't have to face this. We strategically thought that with the users that already are in the app, we don't have to go to ethical approvals to, let's say, to run the app. So the idea here with i-PROGNOSIS, just to, let's say, jump a little bit from the ethicals to the practical situations, I invite you, and I will be very glad now, because we have the ethicals approvals and things, and the app is running. I invite you to go to the Faculty of Human Kinetics in Lisbon, Faculdade de Motricidade Humana, and we can do it. Actually, we published the work, and we have already 3 parameters, bradykinesia, rigidity, and tremor, and you can see if you are a potential Parkinson. So the future of our project is just
Faculdade de Motricidade Humana. If you want to test out, you can pass by, talk to Sofia.
Yes, you are very well invited. And just to link to Aegean, let's say, company, if I was your client, I would like...
You're not?
I'm almost there, I'm almost there. I would be very, 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 very glad if you have in your background an app that tell me, careful, perhaps you have to go to the doctor because you have these parameters. Do you know? I can give you this information. And this is the meaning, the social meaning of a company that has to have behind all this knowledge. It's scientific and technology knowledge that extend also your company and your knowledge. So I challenge you also.
No, I said prevention is key.
And Pedro, just wanted to ask you a second question on I know that you went to the experiential medicine event of Singularity University in the States last year, and I also wanted to, if you can give us a little bit of insights of what was the event and what kind of trends did you see there?
So I'll start with that last question. So last year, November, I was at San Diego at Singularity University for exponential medicine. I'm a 38-year-old surgeon, and I've been to a lot of events and medical conferences, and this is one of the best events that I have been before. The message was very clear, and you can actually see from all the perspective of healthcare, research, and providers, the new way that people will get treated and the new insights that the future of healthcare will give to you. Probably one of the most things that it's a popular issue inside Singularity, it's that longevity issue. So in the near future, people will live longer with quality of life. So of course that when anybody would ask a question from you in the audience, who of you would like to live to 150-year-old? So by the way, can you answer to that? Who of you would like to live 150-year-old?
Quality of life, yes, with quality.
Yeah, so
with quality.
It's an honest answer, but then how many of you would like to live to 150 with the quality of life of being 65? Come on. Of course, because people want to live well, so it's just not a survival issue, but living with quality of life. And so in some aspects there are real medicine going on that actually can improve your quality of life, mainly for orthopedics. So people have erosion in their joints, they have pain because there are erosion on your bones and in cartilages. And now there are technology, there are specific treatments that are being delivered that will correct that, and that will give you better quality of life. So meaning that you are not awake, you will not walk with pain. So you will walk your everyday life without no pain in your joints. So that has an impact. Regarding the first question, yeah, of course. Regarding the first question, well, knowing what is going to happen, I think, and because we are at the Ageas, I just give you an example. So when you buy a car and you ask for insurance policy, so there are policies now that give you discounts if you buy an autopilot system. So as an owner, you buy a car, you are happy, you buy a fashion autopilot system, and then your insurance company will give you a 5% discount. Isn't that great? But guess what? Just think on a different use case. You have a genetic mutation. You have a higher probability you have a specific cancer. Does your insurance company will charge you more because of that? And as you can see, so genetic mutations, there are less than 5%, for example, in breast cancer patients, will give you, that is born with you. So it's a precondition. And I know, so privacy issues, knowing the future, well, does that information could be delivered to all stakeholders? Well, I do not know, but we cannot stop progress. Of course, we want to know if we have a higher probability of having a specific cancer, because knowing that, you can have you can have an advice from your doctor, you can have a specific follow-up that could avoid your impairment, it could avoid you having a cancer, and could give you the possibility of, despite have a genetic mutation, you will live longer, and possibly in the future with genetic therapy, you may be able to avoid that specific cancer. Of course, that I always say that you solve one problem and you get another problem. So 100 years ago, people will live till 40s because they would die of infections, pneumonias. There were no antibiotics. Now, we have doubled our life expectancy to 80, 85 of cost of what? Of pills. So you live longer, but now you give the opportunity of having new disease, cardiovascular disease, cancer, Parkinson. So as you are getting old, you will get diseases of being older. So it's just a balance that is hard to achieve it, but it's possible to live longer. And breast cancer is a wonderful example. At 10 years, 10% of those patients will survive. And so, of course, that there is solutions that may fit to some patients, not to at all. And definitely, artificial intelligence will come to an end that will create impact. Nowadays, unfortunately, we cannot say that artificial intelligence had an impact on survival or quality of life. But systems are getting better, are getting evolved, especially because people are giving insights and information on the system. So meaning now you can access information on the electronic medical records on hospitals. But nowadays, patients with Apple Watch, with mHealth devices are giving information into the system that only artificial intelligence will be able to compute, to analyze, and give insights on that. So then later, you can have an impact on your daily life.
But I think it's a good example of how quality of life AI can really improve the quality of life of people, even in remote areas.
Yeah.
And,
can I,
sure, you can.
Can I also ask a question?
And this is an open
Sofia?
debate, and please come in whenever you want.
Come in, they're already here.
No, but I mean into the conversation.
Oh, break into the conversation. Okay. So thank you for your honesty also. You speak with a bit of frustration because it took 8 months for the ethical committee to honor your request. I'm just curious, was that 8 months of silence, like pure democracy, like a large pile of papers, or was it back and forth? Were they doing due diligence? Were they asking the right questions?
Both. Actually, first steps were regarding bureaucracy, and but we did all these jobs. So they just submit to the committee.
Right.
Then they return back with the reviews. Then we submit again, and then we wait all this period.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, it's country-based issues.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I can understand your frustration. On the other hand, I would also...
Science frustration, because at the end we cannot proceed. We cannot proceed.
That's true, but I would also like to cherish it, the fact that there is an ethical board, that there is due diligence, because Stephen, you mentioned other parts of the world, like you mentioned China.
Yeah.
I think actually in Europe, with the GDPR, sure, it is a hassle, and data protection, sometimes it hinders innovation. But thank God we have it, because I mean, on the West Side, in the United States, privacy isn't worth a thing, because of information wants to be free, and it's freedom of speech, and it's bullshit. Freedom has value; it has great value. And the other part, I think, in a few years from now, both in the United States as well as in China, there will be uprisings of citizens or consumers who say, we don't allow you, government or big corporates, no longer to manipulate us. We have rights, and these rights are based at data. And then the whole world will look at crazy Europe with the privacy laws, and they'll come to us to ask us, so how did you do this? How do you innovate with respect for people's privacy? So I know it's frustrating, but thank God we have them.
But why not to create a European Google Play Store, for instance? And then, European Google Play Store. Because it's a budget of millions. All these projects are billions. We have to follow the guidelines. We have reviews periodically.
I think that her frustration is not because there is the 8 months. I think she has to do it in every single country.
Ah, there's no European single market for your product.
Now imagine that you do it once for the whole
That's
Europe.
right. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. If we would have one Europe, that would be...
Yeah,
I would be all for
that's
it. Yeah.
It's simple and pragmatic.
Yes.
No issues around. And still, we are in this position.
Gotcha.
It's 2020. We are in this position.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how AI and quality of life is really playing its part.
And then we're going to throw this microphone into the audience so that they can
throw right now.
ask a question. Yeah.
So Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry,
Stephen,
Catherine.
do we have insurance?
Apologies.
Catch now, claim later.
Sorry.
Well, the rule is if you catch it, you have to talk.
Yes.
Nobody called it.
Yeah, Manuel catched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Huh? Okay.
Hello, what's your name?
It's a microphone.
Oh, you can
You
talk
have to use the mic.
This is
Just
the mic.
it's a mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't quite follow. So, a question. Perhaps continuing on the question of exactly on how all these evolutions will come through as products, as services that are delivered to people. So for now we are just seeing, for instance, that with 23andMe, I was just Googling it after. One question is, how do you market, how do you introduce to the market? We have this question about having a European common rule book. How do you market solutions such as prognosis to the market in a fragmented market with players that do not necessarily recognize all these requirements? Of course, we do understand that this in reality can be beneficial to insurance companies, but perhaps it's not in their current business model. And there are certainly a lot of regulations that will need to come into a place, because if you are going to know what are the problems with your cars or your peoples beforehand, there's a questions of information and information asymmetries that will make us probably be liable to pay different amounts of insurance that will not be easy to understand. So how do you think that solutions such as i-PROGNOSIS or such predicative diagnostic solutions using AI or other means would come about into going to the market?
If anyone wants to. No? Yes.
It's a long question and a complex question, right? If you ask me. I think when you talk about business models and insurance companies, I think that in your mind you're thinking something, but I think different things. I think we have to focus much more on prevention, right? And I think that it will be key for the industry to work on prevention. It was not possible before, right? It was not possible because you had individual data. Now you have so much data, you can see trends, you can predict, you can analyze, and you can tell people what they have to do, how they have to do exercise, how nutrition have to work, how they have to behave, because it's not of the interest of even a health insurer to have people sick and to have surgeries. That's not of the interest of an insurer. Of an insurer is that you have healthy people, that you can help the people to live well, that you can indeed tell them, please be aware, you have, if I look to the retina of your eye, you have a big probability of have diabetes. So please, no pastéis de nata, right? You don't take your desserts, right? You can take one, not two, right? It's in the interest of the insurance industry. So when I listen to you, it's like, that's not in their interest that's completely contrary. Completely contrary. I mean, in a car insurance, do you think he prefers that cars crashes? He likes lane assistance. He likes that the cars are taking, because there's individuals in there. It's about safety. It's about people. I mean, the insurers, they would love that there is no floodings, no fires. I mean, but people have to insure because these catastrophic events happen. It's not in your hands, right? A car, it's in your hands normally, right? If all of us here in Portugal would use their blinkers when they go to the left and to the right, that would already help, right?
We do.
Well, Ricardo, you know, I always tell everybody that
invisible to the foreign eye.
Yeah, I always tell everybody when they buy a car, they should have a deduction of 10,000 euros because they don't use it anyway. So skip it, right? So I honestly believe that we need to work much harder with all these initiatives to prevent.